The docking bay of Outpost Ardent always smelled of ionized air and hot metal. As an engineer, Cale was used to it. The whine of plasma welders, the clang of spanners, the hiss of depressurization locks. He lived for it. Machines didn't lie, and systems didn't betray you if you treated them right. That night, however, a different sound pulled him from his half-eaten ration tray. The bone-deep rumble of a battered starship dragging itself into dock. The automated alarms hadn't even sounded, which meant whoever was piloting it had overridden the approach codes. Bold or desperate. When the outer bay doors sealed and the pressurization equalized, Cale slipped into his exosuit and went to investigate. The ship waiting there was scarred, blackened by plasma fire, with half its hull plating scorched away. Its engines were barely recognizable as functional. He climbed the ramp cautiously, toolkit slung over his shoulder. Inside, the lights flickered, revealing a figure slumped near the control console. A woman, tall, armored, with a blade still sheathed at her back. Her breathing was shallow, uneven. Cale rushed forward, checking vitals with a handheld scanner. Alive but barely. Her eyelids flicked open, and even through her pain her eyes locked on his. They were a strange shade, violet shot through with faint gold rings. He'd never seen eyes like that. "Engineer," she rasped. "Help me systems first. The ship must live before I do." Cale hesitated. Most people in her condition would be begging for medgel, not prioritizing circuitry. Warrior type, clearly. Still he nodded. "Fine. But you're not dying on my deck. Deal?" Her lips twitched into what might have been a faint smile before she slumped unconscious again. The repairs. Cale worked through the night. He patched coolant leaks, rerouted energy conduits, and coaxed a ruined fusion chamber back into minimal functionality. The ship was an old Iridian design, military grade, but customized beyond recognition. Whoever she was, she hadn't been flying a common craft. Between fixes he checked on her. Her armor was cracked, its surface etched with strange symbols. She wore no insignia he recognized. A mercenary? A rebel fighter? He couldn't tell. When she finally stirred again, Cale was crouched beneath a console, spanner in hand. "You stayed," she murmured. He snorted. "Your ship's stubborn. Keeps trying to fry me. Thought it'd be rude to leave it unsupervised." She sat up slowly, her movements stiff but disciplined. "You have skill, human. Not many could stabilize an Iridian drive without the schematics." "You're welcome," Cale replied dryly. "Now mind telling me who exactly I'm saving?" "Smuggling run gone bad. Pirate raid." Her gaze sharpened, and for a moment he thought she'd refuse. Then she said simply, "I am Serenia." "That's a name, not an answer." Her eyes gleamed faintly in the flickering light. "Names hold more weight than you realize." Shared shadows. Over the next few days, Serenia recovered. Cale kept working, both on her ship and patching her wounds with whatever medtech the outpost had. She moved with the grace of a fighter, trained for war, but spoke little of her past. Sometimes, though, her mask slipped. One evening, while Cale was calibrating her weapon systems, she sat nearby watching him work. "You don't ask why I fought," she said quietly. Cale tightened a bolt, not looking up. "If you wanted me to know, you'd tell me. Besides, people who carry swords in the age of plasma rifles don't usually fight for small causes." That earned him a soft laugh. "Perceptive. And you," Cale added, "don't act like a soldier following orders. You act like someone carrying a burden." Her gaze lingered on him, unreadable. Finally she said, "Perhaps one day you'll see the truth. The hunt arrives. That day came sooner than Kale expected. Outpost sensors lit up with hostile signatures. 3 cruisers, fast and heavily armed. No transponder codes. Raiders perhaps, but their formation was military perfect. Kale was in the hangar when Serenia stormed in, already strapping her armor into place. "They've found me," she hissed. "You must not be here when they land. You think I'm running?" Kale snapped. "This is my station too." Her hand gripped his shoulder with surprising strength. "You don't understand. They're not here for the outpost. They're here for me." "And who exactly are you?" Kale demanded. For a moment, the warrior's facade cracked, and something regal, commanding, blazed in her expression. "I am Serenia Velara, first Empress of the Iridian Concord. They come to end the bloodline." Kale blinked. "You're joking." Her eyes hardened. "Would that I were." Besiege. The cruisers began bombardment almost immediately. Shields shuddered under the onslaught. Kale threw himself into defense systems, rerouting every watt of power into the outpost's aging turrets. Serenia, meanwhile, rallied the few mercenaries and traders stranded on Ardent, forging them into a fighting unit with nothing but her voice and presence. Kale had seen leaders before, but never like her. Every word she spoke carried weight. Every command sparked obedience. She was more than a warrior, she was born to rule. But the enemy pressed harder. Boarding parties breached the outer hull. Kale fought beside Serenia with nothing but a plasma torch and a hastily rigged shock rifle. She moved like liquid fire, blades singing through armored foes. He kept her systems online, hacking doors, diverting power, sealing corridors behind them. At one point, cornered in a maintenance shaft, Kale shouted over the din. "So, Your Majesty, was saving your ship really worth all this?" Serenia cut down another soldier and grinned fiercely. "If I fall, my people fall. You chose to stand with me. That makes you part of this now, engineer. A choice of crowns." Hours of fighting stretched into a day. By the time the last cruiser withdrew, crippled, Outpost Ardent was in ruins. Half the docking bay was gone, several turrets destroyed. Bodies littered the halls. But Serenia still stood, her blade dark with battle. And beside her, Kale's hands shook from exhaustion, but his systems still held power where it mattered. When the smoke cleared, the surviving mercenaries and traders gathered around Serenia. Some bowed instinctively. Others simply stared. Word spread fast. The warrior who had defended them was no warrior at all, but the Empress in exile. Kale leaned against a console, wiping sweat from his brow. "So what now, Your Highness? You rebuild your empire. Led a grand crusade." Serenia stepped toward him, her eyes softer now. "Now, I ask you to continue what you began. You saved my life. You restored my ship. And you fought beside me when all others would have fled. I would have you by my side, Kale." He blinked. "Me? I'm just an engineer." Her hand brushed the scorch marks on his sleeve. "You are more than that. You see solutions where others see ruin. You are loyal when reason says to run. An empire cannot be rebuilt on warriors alone. It needs those who mend, who create. I would make you my chief architect if you'll accept." Kale stared at her, stunned. Days ago, he'd thought he was patching up a battered mercenary ship. Now the fate of a galactic empire was staring him in the face. Finally, he gave a crooked smile. "Well, I suppose every empire needs someone to keep the engines running." Serenia's answering smile was radiant. Epilogue. Months later, Kale stood on the bridge of the restored Iridian flagship, stars stretching out before them.